Awesome. No, as I said, I think I did send you the, but it's fine if you didn't look at it. But Moist Critical did like a video where he went in bigger detail about the aliens,
Yes, I
and
didn't look at it,
essentially,
but go on.
yeah, essentially he had more sources than I found. So, and I mean, to be fair, the dude has a team. Or I don't know if he has a team specifically for that, but I mean, he has connections, so he can just. It would not surprise me if he knows a lot of media pundits and stuff. So he could have probably just asked them, and they can give it to him like that. But the TLDR was that the link that the Snopes article that I found, like it was bad, but we found the original article that the Snope article didn't cite. So what the Snope article said was right. They just hadn't included the right sources. Sort of. That's what happened.
And what
If
was
you
it
go
that
by more
this
critical source,
what was it that the Snopes article said?
that this guy who was the front man of this Mexican hearing was
Yes.
had been caught lying.
Yes. I mean, we knew that already. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, yeah.
But you
The
said there
thing
was
is,
a
we
link,
couldn't
right?
find any. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we couldn't find any concrete evidence for it. But Moist Critical did, so now we know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually saw a lot about it. In regards to that, he apparently uh charged people tickets to go see the alien that he found. He also bought for $10,000 from a street guy a demon fairy. He worked with another guy and said that he found an alien and this alien had a bracelet, and then he went to talk shows to discuss this bracelet, which was apparently a space bracelet because it came from outer space. And
Mm.
and so yes, this guy has been known to be a scammer for a long time. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like there were some interesting developments since then, since our last talk that I
Mm-hmm.
saw. One was that Harvard uh, offered to start an investigation on the corpses, uh, which I found very interesting because it would be very cool if they found out exactly how this thing was faked and like, uh, or who knows if there is anything true to that, you know, uh, because the things that we discussed last time still hold no, right? It's like carbon testing says that it's like 1,000 years old. Uh, there's two scientists which are not uh, scammers saying that they don't think that it can be faked, and so you know maybe there's a chance there's something there, but I'm more interested in finding out how it is that it was faked, if it is.
Yeah, I mean, then you have the memes, all the memes. But one of the best memes I saw was, you must have seen it, like the Mexican alien is cake, and someone had
Yes.
made a fucking cake. That
Yes.
was good.
That was really fucking good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, can you just imagine that? That's some dedication to a meme. If I ever saw one, like to actually make a fucking cake. It was great.
It is interesting. Like yeah, I felt like the reach that it got was bigger than one would expect, I guess. Like, because a
Yeah.
lot of people saw it, I think. And it
Mm.
this kind of sort of quote unquote news usually only hits the niche of people who are trying to find out and like are already open to the possibility of there being like something either, extraterrestrial or supernatural to the world. And the fact that this like blew over to normal people was kind of interesting. I feel like the thread of the UFO hearing got like 20K upvotes on Reddit, and the alien one got like
Mm.
14 or something. Um, so it was really interesting.
But that's good. I mean, it's how to say, like it did get some coverage, which is interesting. But I have to. Yeah, as I said, like I'm gonna do like you and just wait until like someone, fucking the most objective fucking scientist goes through it and like says what he thinks.
Yeah, I mean, I just want someone with some credibility. Uh, but preferably someone that isn't from Mexico because, or from Peru because they are too close to it, I guess, to be. Because there is already like a couple of scientists who are basically saying, yeah, no, this can't be faked. Uh, I don't remember the name. I think it's Juan or Jose, one of them, but I can't trust them because they are like essentially part of the team that is like publishing this.
Ah,
So,
okay. Yeah, that
so
monetary incentives and all that.
yes, like I don't know if they are making money from this or not, but I know that I want someone else to independently verify it. That would be great. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I
it,
completely agree.
there's just it just I mean, regardless of whether it's fake or not, it at least like gave me a small sense of wonder when I saw it at first. Like holy shit, the
Mm,
fucking alien has eggs. What the fuck, you know? Um,
mm.
so
Yeah,
I'll give it props for that. Let's put it that way.
yeah. I mean, as I said, like if it is fake, at least they put in a lot of effort into it.
Yes, I mean, like if you see the fucking scans, they're obviously fucking, you know, they're from a biological organism. So someone had to do some serious like what is it called when you like fucking make statues out of corpses? I don't remember. Like hunters do that.
Oh, you mean taxidermy?
Yes,
Taxidermy, yeah.
like that would be a massive like taxidermy project to like make an alien, right? It would be pretty impressive, I
Mm.
think.
No, I agree. Yeah, it would have been, how to say, I'm just thinking, maybe it's because I'm still jet lagged, so my head is a little, fucked, but I'm just thinking, like, how the hell would you taxiderm? I mean, you can do it, but I mean, the thing is, too, that there's one thing I guess that works in these people's favors, or at least the people who, because if the people who are working on it are actual scientists, then I mean it makes no sense that you would just throw away your entire career for, you know, how to say, follow like a crazy man's dream and just fabricate evidence like that. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, at least the guy that I talked about was not a pseudoscientist, but there was a pseudoscientist on the team besides the scammer, and he was someone who like worked in Russia to photograph like the spirits of living people, and
Mm-hmm. Okay.
yes, so you'd think that I can accept one, I can accept spirits and I can accept aliens, but not at the same time, not from the same person. Um, so
Did he claim to do it? Like, did he claim to have photos of these spirits?
uh, he has like he claims to be a professor of biophysics, and there are articles where he talks about it. But I haven't looked that deeply into it because I mean, as soon as I saw what it was, I was like, yeah, okay, I don't need to see anymore, But yeah, I don't know uh, how deeply into the claim he goes if he does say that he has photographed spirits. Um, but it's like it's not I mean, obviously it's supernatural, but it seems that he claims to be like scientifically supernatural, uh, which is why like he
Oh,
was the fact that he was like lauded as one of the scientists. Uh, And he was one of the people who was saying like, well, this can't be fake because I don't remember what was his argument. I think it was like anyone who looks at the scans can know that this can't be faked, and it's. I agreed until I saw his credentials, and then I got a little,
Bamboozled.
yes, I was like, oh, I'm in the same team as this guy. Oh no, you know.
Wait, so did he like? So he claims to be a professor of something he made up himself.
I don't know if he made it up, but it's called biophysics, and it's like harvesting the energy of people,
Mm.
and
Damn.
then
Okay.
there's also photographing the spirits of people, and like I mean, I read a bit about it, just a bit, and it says something about like harvesting the photons that people can emit, and I mean, it's obviously fucking some pseudoscience by way of someone like rebranding some ancient uh, voodoo with like scientific
Mm.
terminology. So instead of saying emitting light, you say emitting photons, right? And photons, I should say. And so I didn't have to look much deeper, I think.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, that's a special kind of. I wouldn't. Is it called like crazy or hubris or whatever you want to say, right?
I mean, he's probably just making money from like what do you call it, like gullible people, if I have to guess.
Yeah, yeah, I am. But yeah, it would be interesting if like because the other scientists just said he wasn't like that.
I mean, yes, one of them is a military. I don't remember if he was a doctor. I think he was a military doctor, and had an independent like University of Mexico degree as well, uh, in forensics. So like it's hard to not think that he would be a serious guy. And if not for the fact that he is like sort of flanked by a scammer and a woo woo guy, then I
Mm.
trust him and what he says.
Universidad de Mexico, right?
Uh, I'm not sure. It's like UAM or something like that.
Yeah, no, I was just joking. But yeah, no, it will be interesting to see what they come up with. But as I said, like it's also hard because if is an actual, government cover up, then I feel bad because now it's so easy for them to claim that this is fake. They can just be like, "Oh, this guy, you trust this guy, this biophysicist, ghost hunter guy," and it's just like, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a damn shame if it's like if it's real, and then like, yeah, but on the other hand, I mean,
I mean, it
they
doesn't matter,
probably
like
believe it.
the government doesn't fucking care. I'm pretty sure, even if it is real. Like I don't think that the government knows anything about it. I feel like the notion that the government is hiding aliens from us is like, come on. Like the government can't fucking hide anything. Any fucking idiot wants to be the guy who actually revealed aliens to the world, which is why James Maussan or whatever his name is exists. It's like he wants to be the guy who revealed aliens. So
Mm.
you really think that
What did you
everyone
say?
in uh, I said that anyone or everyone wants to be the guy who reveals aliens to the world, and so
Yeah,
like you can think of it in the government. You really think that the dozens of people who had to be able to have an encounter with aliens for the government to be said to be hiding aliens, that none of them decided to blow the whistle and reveal aliens, like that there's just no way. So I'm pretty sure that that's not a
yeah.
really reasonable hypothesis.
I mean, here's the thing. What I think is that there is a theory that I sort of not 100% buy, but sort of, and that is what all of the people that are more credible than others, let's say that says, and that is that all of the, I would say, technology is tied up with different contractors, and that's why they can't really reveal everything because everything's divided. So it would be the equivalent of like if I found the DeLorean, right? The DeLorean from Back to the Future 2 or Back from the Future franchise. It would be like if one company had the wheels, another company had the Duck's defibrillator, and then a third company had Doc and Marty in a lab somewhere.
Yes, but
And then
someone would
it's
have
like,
to have made the contracts with the companies to begin with, which is my point, you know. Like someone has to
yeah, the
know
government.
about the fact that there are aliens, and everyone would be willing, at least in part, to be the one who blows the whistle and reveals there are aliens. So this is why I don't think it's reasonable, you know.
I mean, if they can do it, but it's I mean, if they're lucky, they can do it, right? But if it's different contractors and like it's all on a top-down thing, because if it's some like old general that found this out right a long time back, and he has been very careful, it's possible. But then again, I mean, there is another counter to my claim, and this is the best counter I've found, and that is there was a guy like head of NASA or something, right? Or like head of a government, and they asked him about aliens, and he said that there is no such like they haven't found any evidence and stuff. And then he said, "Look," he said, "every time in front of Congress, I ask for more funding." And if I really wanted more funding instead of begging, if I wanted unlimited funding, wouldn't I just bring one of these little green guys up with me here on stage and you would give me all the funding I wanted? And
Yes.
that's like such a fucking good counter towards the government cover up. But I think it's like other parts of the government that is covering it up. And like that's why we haven't done any big advances because scientists need to work together. They can't be, divided.
I mean, honestly, like
It's
the
an
reason that you're
example.
talking about this is because of that guy who went on Joe Rogan, right? The one who claims to have seen like
Yes, that guy.
that form of propulsion and whatever anti-gravity alien
Yeah,
technology. Yeah, I mean, I wish that his like testimony was cohesive with the rest of the world, but it isn't really because I mean, I disagree completely with the notion that you require scientists to know about the whole thing to be able to understand it. I think that scientists, like as a whole, they know very little about anything besides what they are working on, and they don't need to.
I disagree with you.
That's what scientists do. The fact that scientists like can exist as a profession, um, so separate, like in each being so specialized, is like, and you don't really need that much talent to be a scientist, really, because it's actually like a mechanical process, the scientific method that is. So,
No,
uh,
you're just wrong.
I
Like,
mean, I'm
or
not
not.
really.
Okay, wrong. Okay. Let me give you an example. Let's say I want to get to the people in the, let's say, oh yeah, I forgot. I don't know how Brazilians do this thing, but it's the centuries thing. You know how Americans like 18th century is actually another century. It's super confused. So let's just say this. Let's say I want 300 years ago. I
Okay.
want them to create me a car.
Mm.
I want them to create me a car. So I go back and I tell them, hey, I want you to create me a car. And I show them, I draw a pic. I show them a picture of a car, like, or no, wait. Let's do the full bubble. So I bring a car with me, like the fucking BMW, right? I bring a BMW with me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I say to the guy, then I bring a wheel specialist, so the people doing wagon wheels, and I tell him, build this car for me. You can't talk to anyone else on this project, just you build the wheels, make them turn. And now if we go with Bob Lazar, it would be the equivalent of that guy who's gonna do like the machine. So it would be like a guy working on steam engines, I guess, back then. Or some before the diesel engine was even invented, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the sorry, I don't know if BMW what it runs on, if it's diesel or gasoline, but let's go with gasoline.
Yes, it's
So this
probably
thing runs on
gasoline.
gasoline. So he would probably understand that it uses gasoline or oil, refined oil somehow. But if I tell this man, make this work, make this engine work, but you can't talk to anyone else like looking at this car, he would not be able to do it. He would need that all of them would need to talk together to understand how all the parts work
So your
in
example is making very
conjunction
little
together.
sense in my head right now because apparently there's
Why?
more than one guy and I don't understand. So you said the wheels and then make them turn and make the car work and then a lot of people showed up. So can you actually like help me picture this example a little more clearer?
Okay, cool. So I go back 300 years in time, right? So at the time, like, let's say trains existed, okay?
Sure.
So because trains came before cars, right?
Yes.
Yes, they did. So trains, trains exist. So you do have people working on steam engines, understand how
Yes.
they work. I go there, I go back to this time, and then I bring like 10 people or something like this. I take these 10 people into this, not even the garage, right, where the car is. I just divide this car so into the wheels, the chassis, the engine, and then electronics. I divide these things. So I would have to have two cars, I guess. So, okay, so I need to reimagine this example again. So I bring two cars with me, and one I disassemble, right? So
Yeah.
one car I disassemble, another car I leave intact, the BMW, right? Then I bring, I want these people to build me a car. So what I do is that I get someone who works with wheels, you know, wheels on wagons and on trains. One of
Yeah.
these specialists, like two of them. Then I bring in two specialists working on engines, right? Locomotive engines. Then I
Yes.
bring back, people who, like the people working with Edison and Tesla, sort of understand electricity. And I bring these people together and I don't let them interact with each other at all. And then I divide the car into different parts, right? So I give the wagon people the wheels, I give the locomotive people the engine, the gasoline engine. Then I
Mm-hmm.
give the people working with electricity the wires. And then I tell all of them to make this work.
Okay.
Just
So
make it work.
here's what would happen then. Given your example.
They can't talk to each other at all.
That's
They can
fine.
only like the engine can
That's
talk to
fine.
each other, and the
That,
electricity can talk to each other. Yes, anyway, go on.
that yes. So what will happen is, for example, the wheel people would realize that the wheels of the BMW are not made of the same material as the wheels of a train. They're made of something which is elastic and apparently very adherent. And so they would try to find a substitute or a replacement or an analog with the materials that they know. And then I don't know if by the 1800s the latex was already known or not. But if to us, then you can
Rubber, right?
conceive of, yes, you can conceive of them creating a wheel which would allow a machine to run without a rail because it's able to grip the ground without a rail. And so in here, you already have an example of an advancement in science from the study of a piece that is unknown to them. And although they were not able to reconstruct the car, they were able to create an advancement. And so the same can happen with the people who are dealing with the engine. They can realize that the engine is not made of pure iron. It's made of a mix, which makes it lighter and more resistant. They can see that
But what would they mix it with?
yes,
Repeating.
they can see that the chambers are not uh, large tubes, but quite compact, and they can see that it fucking smells like something is there, and so they can probably see that there is a liquid there, which when ignited causes it to burn, and so they can infer that that's an analog to coal, and they would have to find a similar liquid fuel source which would allow one to move an engine, and they would probably land at alcohol because that would be quite common back then. Before we
But they
had,
wouldn't be able to build a track.
they wouldn't be able to build what?
They wouldn't be able to build the engine.
They would be able to build the
Rebuild it.
steam engine, but now run it
But they
on
already have that.
fuel. Yes.
No. But
My point is,
they
they
don't know
would.
what material it is.
I mean, my point is, they are able to use different technology than they started with by learning from something that they discovered. Um, and so, what I'm trying to say here is, you don't need all the scientists in one room because you are already able to produce technological advancements from them in isolation.
No, wait. How would they know where to put the engine?
They
Let's
have
start
a
there.
train.
They
They have a
would.
train. They already know how engines work. They make the fucking wheels move.
They don't. Come on, a train engine doesn't work the same way, or it's not put on the same way as a car engine, right?
Yes, you just need a fucking gears and axles. Like they made
But
like
how would they know that?
the train is not the only steam machine that they use, Gagger. Like all of the fucking industrial revolutions run on steam. Like um like they
Yes,
know
but
how
it's
to,
completely different than a car, right?
because the car is more compact. That's the difference. Like
How would they know how to make it compact?
they don't need to know how to make it compact. Like the importance of the difference between a car and a steam engine, as far as I can tell, is uh, the fuel. Because alcohol or gas, gasoline, is more powerful than coal, which is not necessary if you're just running a steam engine. But
Sure.
for a car, it's important for the fuel to be very strong, so flammable. Um, and so that's the difference. Like what you're asking, like, well, how would they build the engine? Or it's like they know how to build engines already. It would probably
Yeah,
be
but how would
more. It would be a probably a larger engine, and at first, the technology would probably be built on boats, if I have to guess, rather
so
than
they
on
wouldn't be able to
cars.
build a car, right? But they
Not
wouldn't be able to
immediately,
build the car, right?
eventually.
Exactly, that's my point. So let's just keep your thought in your head because I think just so we are on the both the same page, we're not arguing two different fucking things, right? Because that's really unproductive.
Sure.
So you correct me if I'm wrong. Your claim was that not all scientists were gonna needed to work together as like in a room. I'm talking like they can work individually on their parts and still build a car.
Yes.
Or let's say the parts. Yes. And my claim was what?
I mean, your claim was that
The reverse.
it was necessary for scientists to be together for them to do anything meaningful.
Mm,
Because
great. So
apparently,
let's continue.
yeah, okay. I mean,
So my
I'm not
point
sure.
here is,
Okay.
so if you here's the thing, they can still. I mean, here's the thing, right? And this I didn't claim this part, but I mean, obviously they could sort of the people working in an engine, for example, right? Remember, the people working in an engine, they do not talk with other people, right?
Yes.
They were, and so they would probably conceive the things you're saying, right? They would probably say, okay, so this thing ignites something that creates power. They would sort of start to understand it. But here's where they wouldn't understand. The reason they can't build it is like, okay, so let's say they try building this thing. How do you start building the electricity for it? How do they start putting it together? So it works in tangential with all the other parts
I
to
mean, they
create a
wouldn't.
car.
We didn't even mention the electricity, but the electricity is not necessary for the car. Um,
But then it would
so
be that car. That's my point.
I mean, it wouldn't be a BMW, but it would. I mean,
Yeah, sure,
if
sure.
you,
But it would be a car, like a modern car, right?
yes, because it would take a little bit of time before they were able to fucking reproduce something without the instruction manual, you know?
or people, arguably people working together, right? Because the people working on the engine, they don't work with the people with electricity, so they don't even know how to put out, like, how to make the engine go to the wheel, and then how to steer that whole thing.
Yes. Okay. So I guess I should be clear. I don't think that it's necessary for scientists to be apart. That's not what I was trying to argue for. What I was trying to argue for is Bob Lazar has no reason to claim that the government cannot extract technology from their alien escapade just because scientists are apart, because that's not a good enough reason. If they are, like, if there is ancient, or not ancient, if there is alien technology in the hands of the government, and the government has teams of scientists which are studying it, even if the scientists are not together and they are studying things apart from each other, they would still be able to come up with new scientific developments, and thus we would be able to, quote unquote, trace the source of those developments to the government, and we could see like vast improvements in technology uh, based on the study of alien technology. Uh, so
Would
I
you
don't
be
buy
able to
I don't
make
buy Bob Lazar's argument. I don't think that scientists not being together is enough of a reason for us not to be able to extract uh, advancements from alien technology.
that's not the argument he was making or I was making. Of course, like if we again take the car as an example, because I guess both you and me don't really have the terminology of what he was doing, because that had to do with it was an element, blah blah blah,
Every
something
time,
that I
so
can't explain. I'm not walking around.
every time I try to think of the terminology, I have a headache. So that's the
Yes.
problem.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at here is that, of course, like if they just get an engine, right?
Mm.
Right. These people we're talking about, like the BMW engine. Sure, the people working on engine would start to be able to make theories, right? They would be able to write out theories. Okay, this is obviously how this engine works, or like not completely how it works, but they would kind of suss out, okay, ignition, blah blah blah, and then the people working on electricity would be like, okay, these are very advanced cables and a very advanced system, and so on, so on, but they wouldn't be able to rebuild a car. But that's not the thing here is this, that the people working on, let's say, the to make the fairest argument, here's the thing, I realized it's not even that, because they had divided even more. So people working, are you still there, by the way? Because as I said, my connection is really bad.
Yes, no, your connection apparently is fine. At least in terms of this call.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. But anyway, so let's say this, because I remember that I had screwed up one thing, that the thing Bob Lazar claimed was even worse than my original hypothesis. So let me add another parameter here. Let's
Okay.
say that the people working on engine, they're not two anymore, they're four. Two of them had the engine, the other two had the fuel, but they can't look at the engine.
Mm-hmm.
The people with the fuel can't look at the engine. The people with the engine can't look at the fuel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
They can look at the car,
if
right?
if
Let
if
me
with
yes,
sure.
because it's important that we, yes, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, okay, go
My
ahead.
point here being that, yes, again. So two people, they look at the engine, two other people look at the fuel, and they can't interact with each other.
Yes.
They can look at the car, the BMW, like the fully assembled one that we have put in the, you know, garage, but they can't look at the, Either way, yeah, go on, what were you going to say?
I mean, even if in that example, right, the fuel is with one team and the engine is with the other team. Uh,
Yes.
what would happen in the 1800s would be that the people with the engine would think that this is like the what do you call it, like the fucking like the tubes of the fucking engine. I don't know the proper name for it, but let's call them tubes.
Yeah, no,
They,
yeah, I know what you mean. So it's fine.
yes, they would think that what happens there is steam or some other form of steam analog pushes the pistons up and down and makes the part of the engine which goes into the axle of the car turn.
But they
So
can't see the axles. That's the thing. They can't see the axles.
yeah, no, that's fine. I'm saying that
They don't even know they exist.
yes, but they can see the engine and they can relate that to a steam
Yes.
engine. So uh, they are like two steps removed from a steam engine essentially. One being the fact that it's not steam, it's gas, and the other being that uh, the engine which makes the wheels move, uh, it's small by design because it's capable of withstanding the pressure of the gas even despite its small size. So it's not because the vehicle is small, but because the engine is sufficiently resistant. And so even then, you would still be able to quote unquote understand what the purpose of the engine is. And from that, I mean, you would be able to try to understand what is the metal, like the metal mixture that they use for the engine to construct a better steam engine, for example, right? So we would be able to make a train which is more powerful by virtue of having an engine which is both lighter and more resistant. So that's one example of an advancement that would come from studying just the engine without the fuel. And the reverse would be the same, right? Although in the fuel case, it would probably be a bit more difficult because if they try to use gas to make a steam engine go, it will be very difficult to contain the power of the gas with like a fucking
And
iron steam engine. So that
and
would be difficult.
it could be so it could be the case that uh, the people that have the engine in Bob Lazar's example, right?
Mm.
Right, that the people having the engine would be able to do this, but there's a problem with this not analogy, right?
Mm.
And that is this that what he's claimed was that this thing, like the saucer or whatever, right? How it worked was that it was 3D printed. That's how he explained it. That it looked like it had been 3D printed. And the only thing that could be retracted was the shares, right? The shares of the flight thing.
Huh.
And then the globe or the fuel in this case, right? So it would be even worse because now imagine this, right?
Here's one thing that's
That
missing from your example
you,
because I remember from Bob Lazar's interview, I think was with Joe Rogan that I watched. He also said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm misremembering, but he said that he saw the anti-gravity device at work.
that's what he was working on.
Yes, so in your example then of the teams, both teams would have been able to see what the engine moving with the rest of the material would look like.
No. Here's the thing. They didn't even know because here's the thing. Now when I think about it, right? I see your point, by the way. But oh wait, did I miss your point? Let me just restate it.
Okay.
Or like just on the same page here. That because are you claiming that the anti-gravity blah 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 thing, the basketball he was talking about,
Mm.
that was the engine or was it the fuel? Because I remember he said this is the fuel.
It has to be
I
both
don't
because he said that he saw it working, right? And if it's working, then it has to have the engine and the fuel.
No, wait. He said he saw a flying saucer later that flew, him and his
Okay.
friends, but
He did.
he never claimed that it was the thing. But he might have. Now I'm being unsure.
I mean, maybe I'm
Regardless,
misremembering. I thought that he saw it working.
let's leave it. Let's leave that part just for now because I realize I have another example. So with the car, okay. Now imagine this. It's not a car anymore. It's a F-13 stealth fighter.
Yeah.
Same people working.
I mean, it's
And
pretty
they,
difficult now.
and we just remove the fuel, and you can't disassemble. You can't look at the engine. You can't look at the thing that
I mean, that's
the
impossible.
slot, because that's
That in that example, it's impossible because like, how the fuck are we like what's the closest analog that a person from the 1800s would have to a 1500 or a F-15? It would be a bird.
he did bring it up.
It would be a bird.
Yes, but
So yes,
he brought up a really good example actually. I don't know if you remember it. I see your
what is
point,
it?
right, with a bird, but he said that, let's say we went back in time and gave the Victorians like a portable nuclear power plant or something, like, not nuclear power plant, but
Battery?
I think it said so. It is like a small. I think it's one of the things I guess they use on a nuclear reactor. Yes,
Okay.
a small, the one they use on submarines, for example. I think it was something like this, or he just gave an example of something that doesn't exist.
Okay.
That's what that's his claim. Then he said, and if you just gave them that part, just a nuclear reactor without the submarine, sure, they would be able to understand maybe where the plugs should go, he said. But they wouldn't be able to build something of it because the technology doesn't exist.
In the Victorian era, he's saying?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how a nuclear reactor works, to be honest. So I have no clue how
They would
to
die
work with that
probably.
analogy. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that nuclear reactors work so that it's possible for, you know, nuclear fission to cause an explosion. I'm pretty sure that there would be a lot of, safe uh, guards against it. But I don't think that there's a socket that you plug your, iPhone in to recharge it either. So that's why I'm having
No, no,
trouble
no. He
coming up
said
with how it works.
no. What he said that they could probably figure out where power goes in and out.
I mean, if
So
if they
my
understood
point
that
here,
that thing had power, and they had, and all that would require is for something to be powered in it, then I mean they wouldn't have electricity yet, but they would probably understand that that thing is capable of generating heat, for example, if they were to connect a piece of copper with nothing in it and just turn it on, the copper would heat up. So uh, that's one thing that it would learn pretty quickly. And then due to experimentation, they would probably realize that, a coiled wire would be able to turn when connected to a power source. And that's essentially what a motor is. So they probably fucking figured pretty quickly from there that they can make machines from a nuclear reactor. Given that
now
they
you're going
understand,
to.
given that they
I
understand
know,
that
sorry.
there is a power source and they get to experiment with it. Given those two
Yeah,
things,
but
it's
how
just
would
a matter
they?
of time.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like a nuclear reactor, or like what he explained, how he explained it, would be so hard to, because they don't know how to dial up and down in the power scale, so to say, right? They
Mm,
would not know how to do that at all. So if they try to plug something, so let's say we take your copper example, right? If they
yeah,
put the copper in there, it would just melt, and their hand would
probably.
probably melt away, and then they would all die from radiation poisoning.
I don't think
So
that there would
what the
be.
problem?
No, radiation poisoning wouldn't happen from the melting of the power source. It would happen if the fucking nuclear material leaked from the nuclear
Mm,
reactor. And
yes.
no, if someone's hand burnt, he would lose the hand. He wouldn't die from it. Um, and you know, as it
No, well,
happens,
he would die.
there's
I swear that he
there's a
would die immediately. No, he would actually die immediately. Let
why.
me explain why. If you hold copper and you put copper on, just imagine this. if you go outside and there's exposed electricity in the ground, and you put your hand on a raw copper wire, what happens?
Nothing, unless it's charged.
What? You die. You did not notice?
Only if it's charged. You didn't say it's charged. Copper wire is
But it
just
would be
copper.
charged if you put the copper on a nuclear reactor, and what we're saying, okay, now I see what you're going. You're saying that it goes warm. I'm saying that it starts putting electricity in it.
Yes.
Then they
I
would
mean,
die.
the electricity would cause the copper to heat up first. And if someone touched the copper, then they would get electrocuted or electrocuted, and then
Yes.
possibly die. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, probably if it's a portable nuclear reactor, but who knows? Maybe he was lucky that time. Maybe it was a
Yes.
really small one, right?
Yes. Maybe he has
But
a big
my
heart.
point here being, but anyway, point is that the Victorians would not be able to build a nuclear reactor from that thing.
No, but they would be able to come up with different use cases for it. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, but they wouldn't be able to use it the way it was supposed to. And then comes the question, well, how would it then help if everyone worked on it, right?
Okay,
And
but
this is what I'm claiming, right? The thing
let me
is
see where you are
also
at
this.
in regards to how I've argued so far. So, because my point has been from the beginning, I think, that the reason why it is not the case that the government has aliens slash alien technology in hand, with scientists studying it, is because we don't have uh, leaps in technology coming from the government, which would indicate that we have alien technology in hand. Uh, so
Why would they share it with the public?
even if they don't share with the public, we would know is the thing. But my point being that there's no
Well,
reason for
okay,
them to.
continue.
Yes, I suppose this is said with the assumption that they would want the technology to be of public knowledge, let's say. But even if they
Why would
didn't
they?
want that,
I don't understand.
yeah, if you think that they want to keep it secret, then we just have to go back to, well, how are they keeping this secret from the beginning? Uh, why is there no one who's willing to talk about it, basically? And you can, I guess you can say, well, Bob Lazar is doing, but I don't buy his story, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. What I'm getting at here is that I don't think they would share it publicly at all. Like the high brass of the military, right? They would use it to fuel their weapons and stuff. That's what, and they wouldn't share it because I mean, if they shared it publicly, then fucking other countries would just use it themselves. So they keep it tight to their chest, right? That's what I think.
I feel like
But
this notion of
if
power
it's true, if
is already like dumb. It's way too dumb because we already have nuclear technology. Like we don't need more power. All the fucking government needs is to fucking make a power plant if they want, and they have unlimited energy, and they just don't because they're afraid of losing votes or something. So I don't think that it's
that's what he's
reasonable. Yeah, but my point is alien technology, if it's a big
saying.
deal, is not like nuclear power because we already have nuclear power. So if it's a big deal, then it's something like, you know, uh, I don't know, like invisibility or teleports or I don't know, fucking mind control, whatever. My point being, it's not a technology we have right now, or like an improvement of a technology we have right now. Um, Otherwise, it's like there's no reason, there's no even like what is the reason to hide it if it's so fucking weak that we already have it, Uh, that's how I feel about it.
But to have the upper hand against China and Russia in a
Yeah, but
war.
I mean, with what, you know, with a very cool uh, anti-gravity device.
We don't know what they have. We just know what
Yes,
Bob Lazar told us. Right? They
yes,
might
but
have
that's what he
other
told us,
weapons.
though, right? Like this is the point, though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's made up because it's an improvement of something we have, and it's like science fictiony. It's not. It's like
No, no,
stuff that we came up with essentially.
but how? I mean, first of all, just because I mean, obviously, alien technology. If an alien saucer just crashed and we could actually investigate it, everyone would explain it in terms we would understand, right? So
Yes,
that point I don't really buy. Now, next part is that the what he's explaining in terms of that thing, it is it would make that's the thing because he doesn't even know what it did. All he knows is that this is the power it uses. This is the
yes, but
fuel.
he saw the flying saucer, and what the
Yes,
flying
but I didn't
saucer
see it.
is
No.
essentially a plane which is faster
Mm,
and can turn better.
mm.
Fundamentally, that's what it
You
is.
can move it. Yeah, you can move it in any direction and go in and out of water. And I
Yes,
don't know if it can go in and out of space. This I have never heard if it's the game and move completely silently
yes.
and
So
just break the sound barrier and move. Yeah.
this is essentially what a fucking jet does. Um, you can say, oh,
No, no,
a
no,
jet can't
no,
move as
no.
fast, or a jet can't turn as fast, and fine, but fundamentally, it's the same thing as fucking
Yeah. So
car from the
okay. So
1900s
what
and a car from the 2000s are the same. Even if one of the
BMW?
cars is faster and the other is slower, it's still the same. Uh, there are
Yeah, but
technologies
what's
which
the
allow
point?
for travel, and I suppose one of them is better for dogfighting, I guess. So who knows? Great government technology advancement. Your
Mm,
jet can't launch a missile at my flying saucer, I guess. I don't see it.
no.
It seems to me to be a product of human imagination because it's the same
But what?
thing but
I,
better. It's the same thing but
yeah.
better.
So what?
Like, because it's already been
Yeah.
written in science fiction for 1,000 years. Ever since we came up
Not
with
for 1,000 years.
planes, yes, 1,000 years we have been dreaming of flying in the space or in air, and so
Yes,
we
yes,
had
yes.
planes,
Sure.
and then we discovered planes, and then we have started writing about fucking traveling spaceships and traveling through the galaxies and having better and better of whatever we already have, which is why I don't buy this. Oh, aliens want to conquer planet Earth and stuff. It's like aliens are not.
Yeah, but I don't follow. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
sure, it's a better technology, but and that therefore it can't exist.
no. It's just what we already have, but better. Which means that it's more
Yes.
likely a product of human imagination augmenting what we know rather than something new.
So if they found aliens and they knew just a way better way of making guacamole, you
Yeah,
wouldn't believe it then.
I would say that that would be great guacamole, but I don't like guacamole.
What if you put ketchup on it?
I hate ketchup. Like, what the fuck?
Man, I remember that argument with you. That's one of the times I've been so I
You
was so fucking angry with you at that point.
you think
I
tomato
was
tomato
oh my god.
sauce and ketchup are the same thing? Like, you didn't even know that ketchup is just pure sugar.
Like to be fair, like, I'm pretty sure 95% of the Western world except Brazil like agrees with me.
No, just Sweden and the fat part of the US.
Sweden, Australia, America, Canada, New Zealand, England,
No,
Ireland, fucking
no,
Greece,
no.
fucking Holland,
A
all of them.
100%
They
Greece doesn't agree with you. What the fuck?
tomato like dude. When
Greece are
someone says
bros.
tomato sauce, they mean ketchup. It's the
What?
same fucking thing.
No, no way.
So when you say tomato sauce, do you mean what do you mean? Do you mean like
Uh,
pressure tomatoes? What do you
Tomato
mean?
sauce is basically an
No, wait, I know what you
extract
mean.
of tomatoes. It's like a
I know, I know, I
paste,
know. Yes, I know what
which
you mean.
which
I know what you mean.
has usually like onions and garlic and salt added to it.
No, yeah, okay, I know what you mean. I
Yeah,
just realized I know what we're talking about. Two
it's
completely
like
different things.
I guess it's
But
probably like
ketchup is still
I don't remember. Is it marinara or bolognese which has tomato sauce? Because it's the same thing
it's
essentially.
marinara.
Yeah. So
Marinara.
there you go.
Bolognese has what is it called? It's paste. It's tomato paste in bolognese, and marinara is tomato sauce.
Yeah.
But to go back to this alien thing,
Yeah.
it is. This is what I will say, right? The thing that I think, because it seems to me like the error you're making so as far as I can see it, is that if it can be explained by science, then you don't believe it.
No, 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 no. What I think is the case is if we have like two possible hypotheses, then one of the ways we can weigh them so that we have a more valid, like we can trust one of them over the other, is well, one of them can be judged on whether it's uh, likely that someone made it up. So I'd say that it's likely that someone made up a technology which is just a technology which we already have and we have already conceived of in the past, but we don't have it to a certain extent. So one of them would be a super engine, which is powered not by fuel but by anti-gravity. This is something that we have already seen in science fiction, and it's something that it doesn't take much of a leap once you realize that what engines do essentially is fight gravity. So once you know
So if it
that,
has some form of electricity, but this is I just disagree so much. Like, so if it runs on some form on electricity, this flying whatever spacecraft these aliens have, if it runs on electricity, you would just say, or if the claim is that it's run on electricity, you would be like, nah, this is not true.
no,
This
no,
is
no, no,
fake.
no. What I'm saying is it's less likely to be true if it is something that a person has already thought of. That's what I'm saying. All I'm saying. I'm not saying it proves or disproves it. I'm saying it makes it more or less
It's
likely.
less likely.
Yes.
I mean, so it has to be something completely out of the box for you to say, okay, this is more likely.
Yes. It has to be something either no one saw coming or it's not like popular science fiction basically, because then it's like too on the nose.
Can
Like
it just
someone.
be so? Can it just be that so simple that physics, right? It just goes one way, like because two things that seem to be objectively true throughout the cosmos is chemistry, physics, and mathematics, right? I mean, they would use different, how to say, signs to they explain, for example, 1 + 1 = 2, right? But it would still be the same. So can it just be that? Because my point here being is, so if Bob Lazar instead had said, "Oh yeah, this thing I worked on, it was actually two tomatoes, and he put the two tomatoes up until and he threw this tomato on a cat, and then the cat exploded, and this formed electricity, and this is how the flying saucer worked," you would be more likely to believe him.
I don't think that what you said was creative enough. I just think it was silly. Um, and I know that you're trying to make a joke, but I'm answering you seriously anyway. Um, I
But would you
understand.
believe it more?
No, like I said, it lacks creativity. Just because you said something absurd doesn't mean that
Yes,
it's
so it has to be creative as well. Do you
no.
understand that it's
It,
impossible
it's
for
not as
anyone to?
well.
Okay, yeah.
My point was the anti gravity thing was not creative because it was already something we thought of before. It's science fiction. Someone came up with that idea already.
Okay. Well, it's just here's the thing. So if it just okay, let's do another thing. But here's the thing. So there has to be something completely new outside of the box for you to say, "Oh yeah, this is less likely to be true." But
That's
can't I
likely to
just
be
say,
untrue. Yes.
"Oh,
Which
sorry,
is
sorry, yeah,
which is why when I
that,
saw the images of the aliens, I was like, holy shit,
yeah, no,
that
that's
doesn't
just
look like.
true."
I mean,
Continue.
for example, because you can say, oh, it looks so much like the aliens we see on the movies, and to a certain extent that's true, but I feel like that's not the case. Uh, the way that thing is constructed, it's sort of like a human, but the anatomy is not like a human at the same time, and it's like different in a way that you don't expect, which is why I was so uh, pumped for the possibility of this being something real. Um, it's like I'm judging it by the same principle by which I say that, the anti gravity thing I don't buy because it's something that we already imagined before. Uh, it's like, have you ever seen like retrofuturistic subreddit?
Yeah, no, I know what retrofuturism is, though,
Yeah,
but I haven't
so
seen a subreddit.
yeah, it's regardless. I'm gonna explain it as if you didn't know. It's like how people in the past thought the future would be like. So like the Jetsons and I guess Futurama, that kind of thing. And when
And
we look,
Fallout too.
yes, when we look back at it, we see how dated it is. And the reason it is dated is because what they were doing is projecting their own version of their technology and augmenting it uh, to project into the future and try to guess what the future would be like. And invariably, they are wrong about most things, if not everything. And that's how I feel about Bob Lazar. He's doing the same thing. He's projecting a technology we have, which is propulsion, uh, and he's doing that in a science fictiony way, thinking, well, what's propulsion going to be like in the future? Oh, it's going to be like to anti-gravity. Uh, and I don't buy that. I think that if we have alien technology, then what it does is fundamentally different from what we already can conceive of it doing. Uh, because the technologies we are able to conceive of are technologies at our grasp, essentially, uh, or that are impossible. And
No,
I don't
not
think
re-
that,
they're not impossible, but not within our grasp.
I mean, one or the other, right? So I think that anti gravity is probably impossible. Um, and I think
Well,
that,
wait, if you think it's impossible, why can't it be right in this case then? If you think it's impossible, can't it just be functionally impossible? We don't have the technology to do it yet. Yet
no,
these
no,
aliens do.
no, I think that once we have already imagined a technology, then it's either in our grasp, which means that we will find out how to make it happen soon, or it's impossible to begin with, and then there's nothing we can do to accomplish it. And I think that anti-gravity is more likely the second. It's impossible.
But hang on, if people wanted to go to the stars far, far back, it was not within their grasp to
Yes.
go to the stars,
Uh, until a few
right?
hundred years ago, we didn't even realize that the stars were places, essentially. We thought they were
Oh, wait, the ancient
angels.
Greeks. That.
Yes,
No,
we thought
ancient
they were.
Greeks believed that.
No, no. They thought that they were uh, gods.
Ask ChatGPT. Ask it. Were there any civilizations before ours that believed that the stars were places you could go? Because I am convinced that I have read this somewhere. It might have been the Greek, admittedly, but I do know that there were civilizations before that did believe that the stars were places.
I think it's not necessary, but I mean, go ahead if you want. But I don't think it's necessary because my argument isn't about the you thinking about wanting to go to the stars means that, oh, this is in your grasp. I mean the technology, wanting the technology. I don't think anyone has ever wanted the technology to want to go to the stars or to be able to go to the stars before. Like, we knew
Hang
that
on, one
stars
of the
were
most famous.
places.
What are you talking about? One of the most famous myths in all of, like, arguably our history is about a guy flying too close to the sun, right?
Yes, yes, He didn't want to go
and
to the
he had
sun.
an invention.
He died. He didn't want to go to the sun, though. I'm pretty sure he just wanted to fly.
And then you have the Tower of Babel, right? That tried to
Yes,
reach the sky.
I mean they try to supplant God. Yes.
They tried to reach the sky, right? Was one of the things.
No, they try to supplant God. Pretty sure.
That is one of the. Wait, not the Protestant Bible. That is the right one.
Is it? Okay, so no. Well, what I'm saying is, no one has wanted. What?
You can't just say no. Your point it's just wrong. Like, you
What's
can't
wrong about it?
seriously believe.
Go
No,
ahead.
but you can't
Explain
seriously
yourself.
believe. No, but you can't seriously believe. Oh, if someone has dreamt of doing something, then that technology is within our grasp. So if I find some poem,
Either in a grasp or impossible. Those are the two possibilities that I've
okay,
laid out
cool.
from
So
the
it's
beginning.
impossible or within our grasp. So
Yes.
within our grasp. But so why did you argue that? But you kept going in a circle and arguing that it wasn't impossible. That's
What?
why we're. Okay. So you have two possibilities. If I'm wrong about that, I will apologize. If
Okay.
that's not what you were doing, I apologize. Okay. Now, so you came two. So if I, let's say, I don't know. So let's say 300 years back, and I was a boy back then, and I said, "Oh boy, I want to go to Pluto," right?
Yes.
I wanted to go. I want to go to Pluto.
Yeah.
Then, and then I made this dream about it, and then everyone in my community wanted also to go to Pluto, right?
Yes.
Would you then say that it's within our grasp to go to Pluto?
I would say if that happened, then yes, that would be in your grasp. But I don't think that's happened because Pluto was a god, and like they didn't even know the Earth was a planet. You forget that sometimes, Gary, but people don't have an astronomical view of the world until recently.
No, wait, 300 years ago, they did know we were on a circular object. They at least knew that the Earth was round.
I actually have no idea when Galileo uh, realized the thing about the there not being at the center of the world, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, yes, I know. Like, I know that, for example, people in Greece had already fucking figured out the circumference of the Earth. I know that, but yes. The point we're arguing about is, well, have people in the past, as a counterexample to what I said, wanted to go to the stars, and if so, then why haven't we? That's the.
But here's the issue: like you have, it's either Mayan, Incan, or another one.
Aztecs.
It's Maya.
Aztecs.
Thank you. One of those, they knew about the stars, or they believed in stars as places.
I don't know
because they told stars. No, but here's the thing, and this is why I don't believe what you're saying, and it might or not believe. Sorry, I don't agree with what you're saying, right? Because these people, they believe that one of their gods arrived with a vessel from the stars. And they've never built rockets.
I have
That's
to admit, Gabber, this sounds like one of those gods or astronauts scams, you know? The ones where people like reinterpret old myths to make it seem as if it was like aliens. I'm not sure if you're aware of what I'm talking about. I guess maybe it's not.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But here's the thing: what I'm saying that's what they said and what they believed. So I'm not saying all of them. Of course, I'm not saying the entire Aztec Empire believed this.
Are you not just like projecting that myth from Lord of the Rings that you love so much about the guy who sails to the stars and thinking it's an old myth now?
No. I have read this.
Okay.
My point here being that, okay, let me just make it even more simpler here, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say that let's say you just conceded the point to me that yes, these people existed. These people, they did exist. That they believed that one of their gods came from the stars in a vessel, right?
Okay.
If they're in South America, let's say the fuel they need is in Australia, how on earth is that in their grasp
Um, I feel like if you are going
to
to
go to
come
the
up with
sky?
hypotheticals to like disprove my rule of thumb, I think we've gone too far because I don't think that.
Not too far, okay.
Yeah,
Come on,
no,
man, this is what we do.
of course, but do you agree that you are arguing against the spirit of my rule of thumb, which is, well, people
Yeah, sure, sure.
like this is like
I just disagree with it because
I
I think
guess
because I
it's
think because I don't agree with it at all. I think it's just yeah. I already said I think it's wrong, but I mean, hey man, if you want to believe that, that's fine.
I think it was
I
Einstein who
mean,
said whatever we think is whatever is imaginable is possible, right? And the notion being that there is a corollary between what we can think of and what's possible. And I feel like that's not just an offhand statement or like a cool quote. I feel like it's actually descriptive of the nature of reality, which is we are only aware of stuff that is in our immediate possibility. Like we like people from 1,000 years ago could not have dreamed of the world we are living in right now. And the reason for that is because there's way too much that they didn't know about it. And so the distance between our worlds is not just a temporal distance, it's also an imaginative distance. Um, like essentially
okay,
what's
so
happened is 1,000 years of people imagining different things has come up with a world which one imagination could not conceive of. Uh, so that's
like
why.
like don't.
What?
I mean, yeah, yeah. Here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I agree with most, or I guess most, yeah, like
Yeah,
99% of what you're saying, right? With what you're, I mean, for example, if I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's just as simple, right, as a university with different courses, right? And for example, if we had gone to the same university, we would have gone to take different courses, right? You would have done law, I would have done the arts, right?
yeah.
So we wouldn't have been able to conceive like different. My point, like, yeah, we're already agreeing on this point because you're sort of seeing where I'm going with that point, right? That I would have problems that I couldn't have conceived of any way of solving, without arts, and vis-a-vis with you and law, right? You wouldn't
And
have come up with a solution outside of law.
it's also
But we're both in
something
agreement, sort of, on that point.
that Dr. Peterson says, right? Which is if you have the question, then you already have half of the answer, right? Which is the
Yeah, sort
notion
of.
that once you already have it in a formula, then the rest is easier. Uh,
Mm.
so when you have something in your imagination, like that's already an achievement, essentially. And so that's how I say that what you can imagine is already either in your grasp or impossible. It's impossible because there's just a limit to how reality functions, like there's a structure to things. But if you can imagine it, then it's already way closer than what someone who doesn't imagine uh, would compare. So that's how I think I.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Why did no one build pyramids after the old Egyptian empire fell?
I think the question is just phrased incorrectly. Like, why did the Egyptian empire build pyramids in the first place?
But you said it. I mean, the people generations must have seen these things, right? Why didn't they build more of them?
I mean, why would they want to though?
Okay, but then I will make the same argument about this gravitational device. Why would they want to build that? But anyway, we're
The,
getting.
the
Here's the thing. I'm
scientists
gonna get.
are trying to though. Like they're being paid to do it, and I mean, I don't think Bob Lazar ever argued that they're not trying to make it. So I'm not sure why
Okay,
you
but
are.
come on. Come on. You do know what? Why would they want to build it? It's not. Are you really making that argument?
Yes, I
I
am.
mean,
I'm
with that
saying that it's in
argument,
their
not.
grasp, not that they can like it's gonna
So how
come
did they build
regardless
them
of
then?
whether they want it or
Uh,
not.
But how did they build the Great Pyramids? Tell me.
I mean,
How did they build them?
there's a guy on YouTube who has like several videos where he shows like this very rustic or primitive techniques where he's able to like move giant rocks just using the power of like leverage and sort of wheels and stuff. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I don't have the papers in front of me, but I do know that it wouldn't have not. They don't really have a certain answer for it right now. They don't have. That's how they built them.
I mean,
right? That's the point. And why would
there
they build them?
no
Because
there's like
they don't want to
100,000
build
answers. The
it.
problem is no one accepts them. People are just like people are so fascinated with the pyramids that they're like, oh my god, nobody still knows how they were built. They were probably built by aliens, by the way.
No. They don't, because every time someone says, okay, this is how they were built, someone comes up with a thesis. Then someone says, oh, okay, but how about these things, these holes in your theory here? What about them? Then they
I
go
have
ape shit.
I have never seen. Okay, I guess you are way more into this story than I am because I have never seen someone ever disprove uh, these pyramids thing. I've seen like people come up with bullshit theories about the pyramids and then get called out, like people who said they were built to store grain, for example. Uh, yeah, no, that was disproven. It makes no sense to begin with. It's debunked.
But
But
well, I also like, but let's also go to this other point that you why would they want to build more pyramids?
yeah,
Why would they not want to build structures that have held for I don't know how long you think they are around, but thousands of years? Gee, I don't want to know. I don't know. Why would someone want to build structures that hold for thousands of years? That seems really retarded. Wow, you're right, Neo.
Gagger, do you think that people have cared about buildings that much, uh, like 3,000
Yes,
years
because
ago?
of wars. Because of what? Okay, dude, these things have held through wars, like
Okay.
multiple of them. Of
And
course, they want to
then
build more of
the
them.
enemies capture them, and now it's theirs because you couldn't protect them. Like, great.
So they should have built. Who? What?
Yes,
I couldn't actually hear what you said. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I couldn't actually hear what you said
I
the last
said
part.
that now the enemies have captured your pyramids, and now it's theirs. Great. You have made these great things that don't belong to you anymore.
Wait, who captured them? What are you talking about? The
The
Egyptian
fucking
Empire.
Romans?
The Romans.
Yes.
How did the Romans take over Egypt?
I feel like one of the Caesars married what's the name of Cleopatra, right? He banged her.
It had nothing to do with warfare at all. It had nothing to do with regular armies. That's my point. That was my argument.
So you're saying that uh the pyramids were this great barrier that didn't let the armies go through, but Cleopatra, being very horny, let the Caesar come into her bed and accidentally invade her, and now uh, the Egypt fell to the Romans. Is that your theory?
How did Byzantium fall? It also fell because of multiple different
Wasn't it the
reasons. It
Turks?
wasn't one.
The
That
fucking
was one of them,
Turks?
but it was also
The
internal.
Muslims?
It was internal. It was internal struggle. It was also this. I'm completely out of my left field with the Byzantines. All I know it wasn't just Saladin's army, although Saladin's army was one of the major reasons. It wasn't the only one. There were other ones too. Because I did look into it, like one of those brief videos. My
Look,
point here is
the
that
pyramids are
why
not
would they want to build
walls.
more? It's
The, pyra- the
but
pyramids were not walls.
oh,
They were
hang
not
on,
meant to hold
hang on.
people.
Dude, you don't think that a structure that are how tall are they? 100 meters, right? The
I don't
pyramids are
know.
100 or 300 meters.
I don't know.
But fuck it, let's give it. I mean, yeah, let's say it's like 1,000 meters tall. Why not? Let's say the pyramid are 1,000 meters tall, just for argument's sake, right?
Okay.
If they're, you don't think a 1,000 meter tall structure would be very good to have in warfare
For what
for
purpose
invading army?
exactly? Look, I
Do you
don't
know
even.
anything about modern warfare? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm done. Like at this point,
My
no,
friend,
you can't
it,
believe
it
that. You can't believe that. Come on. Oh,
bro, you're
Okay,
saying
alright.
that they're
Okay,
spending, the
alright,
equivalent of billions of
alright,
dollars on today's
okay,
money,
alright.
like the lives of
Okay,
100,000
so why would
slaves,
anyone?
to build
No,
these
you're right.
like burial tombs to the Egyptian kings, and then what they're gonna do with them
Want to
is
remember one day, yeah.
once an army comes, people are going to mount on these pyramids, and then with bow and arrows, I guess, shoot down people near the Nile. Uh, on these like three pyramids, they're gonna kill an
Yeah,
army.
because
Like,
like high places, they have no advantage in wars. You're completely right.
so why
Like
would you build a
standing on top
pyramid
of a
instead of a tower, Gagger? Tell me,
would not have like any
or a
advantage at all.
wall? Just no. Answer my question. Why would you build a pyramid over a tower or a wall?
Do you also think that one of the other
Okay, so you
reasons that they
haven't
built the pyramid?
answered the question, so I guess that you don't have a good answer.
Fucking let me finish. No, yes, I
No,
do.
you're
You can
asking a
let me
question to
finish.
me.
But
No,
no,
you're
okay,
not answering. Your tone
done.
was a question.
Are you done? Can I answer the question? Are
I
you done? Can
I
I
don't
answer
know.
it?
Can you?
Your mom. No, anyway. There are two ways. I was gonna add something.
Okay.
One, pyramids are very good to have in warfare. One,
Why?
because they give you line of sight. But oh my god, are you gonna let me fucking answer the question? Because you keep interrupting.
I mean, I'm trying to let you
Can you shut the fuck
finish.
up? Can you shut the fuck up for 5 seconds? Can you
I'm
do that?
trying.
I'm
I'm
gonna count.
trying. I'm
One.
trying.
Okay, you can't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my god, amazing. Here's the thing. Pyramids can be used in warfare once because line of sight. You can also here's the thing. The attackers will have to climb up the side of them, right? That's one of them. And also that's how they can be used very effectively in warfare. You can also see very, very far on top of pyramids. Second of all, the other reason the pyramids are built, I think, is because they're monuments, right?
Hmm.
So everyone can see them forever and they last forever. And any king would want that. Any culture
Uh,
would want that.
maybe. Um, I don't think that's necessarily the case, though. I'm pretty sure that most rulers were far too worried about the stability of their rule to be able to worry about 10 generations into the future. We place way too much importance in the archaeological notions of the culture of Egypt, for example, because it lasted for a long time in a single dynasty,
Mm.
essentially. But it's not the case that every rule was like that, and mostly rulers were struggling for power all the time, so they didn't have time to be able to establish these long-lasting monuments like the pyramids, or nor did they have the fucking power and the wherewithal to do it. So this is why uh, I asked you why would anyone else want to build the pyramids. Um, they are not practical. They are just monuments
Yes, they
for
are. But okay, cool.
I don't,
Cool.
dude. Like you can say, well, they're great for war, and I can still come up with
That's one of the reasons.
towers and walls are better always. And so they're not made for war. Obviously, they're made for displays of opulence. They're made for a show of power. They're made for people to remember who they are serving, and they're made for fucking ego stroking. And that's why I said or asked, what would other cultures want to build their pyramids for? It's like just because your neighbor has a Ferrari doesn't mean that you want one as well. That like there's no reason that you have to want one. It's only if you do want one that you want one. And so when you
Dude,
asked,
you cut
well,
off. Dude, you
uh,
cut off. I'm
where
not
did I cut
joking. Like
off?
I.
Where did I cut out?
No, do you know what happened? I think, as I told you, like my internet did dip. No, no,
Mm,
no. You cut out. I just said at this point we're just doing. My dad can beat up your dad, and then I said, by the way, my dad could actually beat up your dad.
I actually didn't
And then
hear you say that at all.
Yeah, but that's still my point.
I know. So I mean, I hope you understand why I said that, you know, things are in your grasp and the pyramids are not a counter argument to that, because other people didn't want the pyramids.
I mean, we could argue this for hours, but that's how I see it. I see that it is a counter. If you don't agree with me, fine. But I mean, at that point where you're saying I did, like, what is it? Like drive-by arguments.
Have you any example of anyone saying that they wanted to build the pyramids or try to and couldn't, I guess?
Not at the top of my head, no.
So why do you believe that?
Just because I don't have anything on top of my head.
What? I mean,
What do you mean? I don't have it on top of my head.
yes, so why do you believe that people wanted to build the pyramids but couldn't, uh, despite not having any examples of people who wanted to build the pyramids?
Do you want me to? So sorry, I wasn't actually laughing at you. I was laughing at this fucking Christian fucking debate I saw where someone, or was Tolkien debate. Anyway, the point of it was, oh, you're a true Christian. Name every saint. That was what I was laughing about.
I see. It's a pretty
Just
good
because
argument.
it can't. I mean, yeah, I mean, got me there. I just had to learn more saints than the Catholic or Orthodox people, and I win. My way of life is right, you know. This is what I say, and I think you agree with this.
Okay.
Or I hope you do. Just because I can't come up with the exact example doesn't mean I'm holding the opinion in what is called in vain or haven't thought it through. The arguments I'm making are ones I've heard before. I just can't. I can't
Yeah, but
pinpoint
hearing
them.
an argument isn't like, you realize that that doesn't make your
Well, I
argument
also
more
reason
reliable, you
myself.
know? It's like, oh, I heard it somewhere. That doesn't help.
What did you say?
I heard it somewhere doesn't help your argument, you know?
Yeah, but just saying what you're saying too isn't a good argument either, my guy.
No, I'm asking you to explain why you believe something like that, and you are not offering an
No,
explanation.
probably no. I just let me be even more clear. Either because I reasoned myself to the position, or because I've heard it somewhere. I just can't pinpoint it at the moment.
Yes, but hearing from somewhere is not a reason to believe anything.
No, but I reasoned myself to my point.
How?
I mean, here's the thing. You even agreed with me when I said that these monuments lasted for thousands of years.
Yes.
That's my point. That's one of the biggest reasons I believe that more people, if they knew how pyramids are built, would have built more.
Yeah, but why would people
That's
want to
why the
build a
Incas
monument? Like, what? I'm saying that people in history were not worried about 1,000 years later. That's my argument. And so I'm asking
hang on.
you,
Why did Stalin build monuments on himself?
did he? I'm
Can
pretty
I
sure
just
they
ask that
built it
too?
later, after.
No, he built. Can I actually look that up? No, he built.
I,
No, all I know
I
for
doubt he
sure
built
that
it
he drew
himself.
upon it. I mean, obviously he didn't go there himself with a chisel and paint and a
Yes,
hammer. Of course he didn't.
that's not what I'm saying. Yes, I'm saying that I don't think that he ordered him himself to be made into a statue, but I guess he could have.
Yeah, you didn't. I am like 99% sure, 99.99% sure, because I do know he renamed St. Petersburg. Or no, wait.
Okay,
First it was St. Petersburg, then it was Leningrad, and then it was Stalingrad.
I actually don't
So I
mind
do know they did that.
just believing you here, because I don't think it's like it hurts my point at all, because I don't think Stalin is an example of a leader from 1,000 years ago, you know? Because if Stalin wanted to build the pyramids, he probably could have. Let's be honest here. Like, we have the technology if you want.
Yeah, right now, but not the way they built them back then.
Yes. So what
And I'm
is
talking
that
about back
actually?
then.
Yes. What's that discussion isn't, well, are there leaders who want to build the pyramids now? The question is, are leaders who were worried about what 1,000 years from now they will look like, common back then, to the point that someone wanted to build the pyramids but couldn't, because despite wanting it, it wasn't at their grasp because they didn't have the technology. That's the question.
Okay, repeat that last point.
Sure. What are we missing is, were there leaders who 1,000 years ago wanted to build the pyramids, thinking that it was at their grasps, like I said, but they couldn't because they didn't have the technology? That's what we are questioning.
More,
And I'm saying
yeah,
probably not, because people from back then were not worried about what people from 1,000 years later are going to think of them. With the Egyptians being a notable exception because they were a very long-lasting dynasty, and therefore they knew that 1,000 years in the future, or at least they thought 1,000 years in the future, their own dynasty was still going to be around, and they also believed that, they were going to be reincarnated and stuff, which helped their long-lasting ambitions. But
no, hang on. They didn't believe they were going to be reincarnated.
that's
They
what the
believed
mummies
that
are
they were going to
for.
pass on.
That's what the mummies are for. The mummies are for when they are reincarnated.
No, the Egyptians don't believe that, or the old Egyptians. They believe that they passed over the river and into the afterlife.
The
All the things you see
gods
there are.
were going to embody the mummies. I'm pretty fucking sure that's what the mummies are
I'm pretty
for.
fucking sure you're wrong.
Okay,
But
what are the
okay.
mummies for then?
It's just the burial rites for the time. I would need to look it up completely, but that's what I am completely sure about.
Yeah,
That they
I'm
were
pretty.
just there to.
I'm just gonna look it up right now because I don't think there's a point in like leaving this for later. What are
Okay, we're
mummies
sure, but
for?
after that, it's going to get late.
Yeah. Mummy history. I can't fucking believe it. Fucking History Channel went to Brazilian History Channel and doesn't let me open the fucking link. Mummies. About Occidental. Okay. Why though? Yes. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't say after, or doesn't say rebirth. It says the Egyptians believed that the mummified body was the home for the soul or spirit. If the body was destroyed, the spirit might be lost. The idea of spirit was complex, involving really three spirits, the Ka, Ba, and Ak. The Ka, a double of the person, would remain in the tomb and needed the offerings and objects there. The Ba, or soul, was free to fly out of the tomb and return to it. And it was the Ak, perhaps translated as spirit, which had to travel through the underworld to the final judgment and entrance to the afterlife.
Yes.
So, yes, it doesn't say why the body and the spirit are linked at all, or what's the purpose of it exactly, except that it's important. So, I guess you're right, maybe.
Have you
Right
heard
there?
about this?
Oh.
Give me a second.
What's happening?
No, I'm just doing something. I'm doing a screenshot. You know what that is?
I mean, some a thought came to my mind, but I'm not sure if it's right. It's either something that we lost long ago and looks like modern technology, or it's modern technology which was just left to rot somewhere.
It's an ancient Greek, quote unquote, computer that calculated zeros.
It's very easy to calculate zeros because they don't change anything.
Why didn't the Romans create their own computer? Why is that the only one piece we have left?
Because they knew that computers made people weak, so they didn't bother.
True. They knew that it would lead to League of Legends.
Yes, and soy boys playing Pokemon.
No, but this is my point. Furthermore, can you build me a samurai sword real quick? I really want one.
I could. I just need to fold metal 1,000 times.
That they don't know how to do anymore.
No, they actually do. This is bullshit, and it's another myth.
There we go. No, I just looked up the lost technologies.
What?
And I remember, because I did remember that computer, but they never invented something like that ever again, so why didn't they?
Because no one wanted one?
Are you completely fucking retarded? I'm sorry, that was me. I'm sorry. Oh my god, like, okay, now, what do you mean they didn't want one?
Gagger, do you realize that, for example, an abacus was way slower to calculate?
This conversation, yeah, dude, you are so deep in the debate mode right now, like in the debate mode, because no way you would argue that. That's like me saying, hey, like, come on, you don't think a GPS is a handy tool? Because then I can just say, huh, it's just super easy for me to look at street signs.
No,
like, come on, Matt.
Have you seen like the first versions of most technologies? They are always worse than whatever the alternative is, usually. So,
but you don't think a computer calculating C routes would be something that people wanted to use back then?
Like I said, zeros are very easy to calculate because they don't change anything.
Even when it's windy weather, when it's stormy and you don't see the stars?
Why would you need to see the stars to calculate zeros?
C routes.
Sea rats? I'm sorry, I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about.
Hang on now. If you don't see any stars when you're on the ocean, before compass existed, before a compass was invented.
I'm pretty sure compasses are really fucking old.
Oh my fucking god. This is what I mean with debate, bro, because I'm gonna look up now and they're gonna say, oh, compasses were not made until... When was the
Never mind.
compass?
Apparently it's the 11th century.
Do you understand where I'm going with this? I
No.
don't think if you don't have a compass, if you don't have a compass,
okay,
and you're an ancient Roman sailor, you don't think such a device as the sea computer or like the navigation computer would be a very handy tool to have?
I don't know
what they haven't looked in
what a navigation computer is. What does it do?
That's also what I need to look into too, albeit. The thing is that, here's the thing. If that thing calculates sea routes, you don't think the Romans would have one? By your own logic?
Okay, so I said it's two things, right? They need to imagine it and they need to want it, essentially, for it to be in their grasp or impossible. So I would say that if they knew it existed, so in their imagination necessarily, and they wanted one, then they will have it. And so if they don't have it, it's either because they don't know it exists or because they don't want it.
Why wouldn't they want it, and why wouldn't they know that it existed?
I mean, I feel like the second question is the reason. Like, it's the easier to answer. It's like, we didn't know it existed until, I don't know, 200 years ago, because it was rediscovered. So why would they assume that this would be common knowledge? Like, we only found one of those, so obviously it was not something that everyone had, right? So why would the Romans know about it?
You don't think people back then, when they were going on the sea, were going like, "Oh boy, what if we had a device that could make this whole seafaring thing simpler?"
I feel like the people who did think that seriously enough came up with, for example, the sextant and the other devices which allow for ocean navigation. Because that's how they came about. It's because people wanted those.
Okay, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I might regret saying what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I don't lie. I think you're just being very stubborn at this point,
I am
and
saying what I
there's nothing you
believe, to
can
be
say. And
honest. I mean, I'm just saying what I
I'm not
believe.
saying you don't believe it. Yeah, I'm not saying you don't believe it. I do believe that you believe it, but I also believe you do believe it because of stubbornness.
No, I believe it because it seems to
Because
me to
no,
be the
because
case.
no, because you're
Like,
very stubborn.
no,
Like
just
it's just no
because
way in hell. Like, okay,
just
listen,
because you
man. If you
disagree
see me
with
like,
me for a long time doesn't mean I'm gonna change my mind if I still believe what I believe. Like, it's not me being stubborn. You haven't offered me an argument that convinced me. Like, if you
okay,
think
okay,
that's a
okay,
problem with
fine. Let me,
me,
okay, okay. I have a very good counterexample. Let's say this: that they found in some old text that yes, the Romans, they had seen this at a device. They had seen the device that this Greek ship had, right? They had seen the device. One, two. Then they said, "Oh, but we didn't make it. We saw the device. We saw how it worked, but we didn't make it." Would you drop your argument then?
if they said we wanted the device, then yeah, maybe.
No, no, not maybe. Would you? Because if you say maybe, then you're stubborn. But if you say, yeah, I would drop the argument, then sure, you're not stubborn. And I will apologize.
Uh, okay, so let me put it this way. If we found a text from the Romans saying that they found the machine and they looked at it and they said, "Wow, this is really cool. I want one too." Uh, but then they tried to make one and they failed. Then I would say, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. And the reason I say maybe I'm wrong is because I don't think that one example is enough to invalidate what is essentially a rule of thumb, not an universal rule, which I've stated before. Then yeah, but I feel like it's you are trying to push this way too far for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. Like I'm giving you a rule of thumb, something which you can look at and use to guide yourself to a certain extent. It doesn't mean that it's going to be right every time. Uh, and the fact that you're trying so hard to find an exception to it, and you know, for whatever reason, thinking it's
Yes, we
universal.
argue. That's what we do. Dude, we argue. That's what we do.
Yeah,
Like, what was it, 3 weeks ago? You argued for 5 hours how you pronounce Tolkien's name. Tolkien's name. I haven't forgot
we
that.
talked for an hour at most because our videos are an hour long usually, not
Yes.
5. And actually, it was like 15 minutes, and then I was like, I doubt it. I'm gonna go and listen to it, and then I said, yeah, no, I'm wrong at the end. So I'm not sure you're exaggerating again, but
No,
you're
but here's the
getting.
thing. I already conceded, dude. I already conceded. Like, if you say that, because here's the thing. Like, I did say if this is a thing and you don't want to bunch it, that's fine. Like, if this is a rule of thumb that you want, but then you said, oh, but I haven't seen any good arguments. Then I gave them to you, and now you're saying, oh, it's so
You
weird that you give me
haven't.
counter
You
arguments.
haven't at all. What good argument did you give? You just gave me a hypothetical. Like that's
What
not an
good arguments
argument.
have you given? Dude, what good arguments have you given me for your side? None.
Why would I have to give an argument? I just said this is something I believe, and then you started saying doesn't make any sense, and then I started to defend it. That's all. I'm not trying to
Okay,
convince you
so
of the
my
validity
rule,
of it.
and that's cool.
Great.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm just telling you why I don't agree with it and why I think it's I wouldn't be goes up to what would I say? That is ill advised, very not ill advised even. What is it called? Misplaced, something like this. Not misplaced. Like I can't come up with a good term. Like let's just say that I disagree with it a lot, and I've given you my arguments why I disagree with it.
I
You
mean,
don't have to agree with my arguments, fine, but because it's at this point, it seems like it's a priori for you, so I can't argue you out of it.
no,
I
no,
would
no.
probably have to have like 500 examples to show you before you said, okay, cool, it's a bad rule of thumb.
I mean, we just came up with several examples, and then I shot them down one by one, as far as I can tell. And then lastly, you gave me a hypothetical. Well, what if they found this? And then I said, okay, maybe then I will have to rethink this. But I don't think that.
You didn't shoot them down at all, but okay, continue.
I mean, I told you, like, pyramids are not made for war, and people didn't want to make them. That's why they're not. You don't have the world littered with pyramids. It's because the rulers didn't care for them as much as the Egyptian kings did.
No, but here's the thing too, right? Because now you're saying also that, I mean, if you want to say, okay, one example isn't enough, okay, fine. What if I give you 10? What if I give you 20? What if I give you 30? Will you ever, like, how many examples would you need?
I don't need 30. I can tell you that. I'm pretty sure that if you gave me like 5 examples, I would already be like, huh, interesting. I had no idea about this. Because like I feel like because we haven't gotten to why I believe this at all. And I think it's important because I don't understand why you don't believe this. It's like, do you not think that human ingenuity is essentially universal and that once people figure out that something is possible and they want it, they will try to make it?
I mean, they will try to make it, but they can't make it.
Why? What makes, like, the pyramids different or whatever, or the Greek computer?
I want, I want a device to make me not be able to age. Where is it?
There's two things. It's either in your grasp or impossible, right?
So that's the second point. That is impossible. But how would an inventor be able to delineate between the two? He would almost certainly never be able to do it.
An inventor would just keep trying, I guess. And
exactly.
Right, but like there's plenty of things that we've wanted for a long time and we haven't gotten. That's not the problem, right? Like, we've wanted to transmute lead into gold and we can't yet. And we can assume it's because it's impossible by now. And not because it's still distant. What I'm trying to get at is, once we already have it in our imagination, then it's already very close to us as compared to when it's not even in our imagination. That's all I was saying,
I mean, if you want to argue that it's closer, sure, but it's not like within our grasp.
I think it is. I really think it is. I think it's like one lifetime away most of the time,
And that's what they believed when they wrote that fable about the Sorcerer's Stone too. But
the Harry Potter.
No, the original one.
Yes, I know. Yes, the Alchemist. I know. I do. Like, that's why I said it's probably impossible. That's like
the reason why I don't think it's
the reason we got into this.
It's a good rule of thumb.
The reason we got into this is because of the Bob Lazar thing, right? It's like, I was trying to use this as a fulcrum to get into discussing why I think he's full of shit, which is, well, if you see a fucking anti-gravity device, then you already have all you need to make it, essentially. You might not know how it's made, but once you know that it's possible and you know what it looks like, you already have, like, you are so close to making it, especially if you're a fucking scientist, right? So you have the necessary background.
Okay, but now you're going back because we just talked through this with the car example, and you said no, they couldn't make a car.
No, but I'm talking about the anti-gravity device, not the flying saucer.
Yeah. With that said, I need food, man.
Yes. Where did you buy, by the way? I was curious.
For food?
Yeah.
I got one of those fucking Japanese noodle packages. I wanted to try some of them to see if any one of them is better.
Well, keep me informed. I'll look into it.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know if you have any good suggestion. But yeah. Take care, man.
Yeah,
It was great
see,
talking to you.
same. See you, Edgar.